You have 30 days to vacate." The words rang out like a gunshot in the silence of the community center meeting room. I sat frozen, the letter still trembling in my hand. The HOA president, Karen, stood with arms crossed, her expression impassive. Around her, the other board members, Doug, Lisa, Tom, and Beverly, nodded in smug agreement, their faces practically glowing with satisfaction. To them, this was just another step in the power play they'd been orchestrating for months. To me, it was a declaration of war. I felt my blood pressure spike as I looked around the room. These weren't just community leaders. They were people who had systematically made our lives hell, picking apart every small detail of our home and existence since my wife deployed. They assumed we were defenseless. Another military family too stretched, too tired, too overburdened to fight back. They thought we'd fold quietly, just like others before us. But then, the door opened, and in walked my wife, Lieutenant Jessica Mitchell, U.S. Navy. She was in full dress uniform, crisp navy blues, her ribbons and medals shining under the cold fluorescent lighting. The room, once buzzing with petty righteousness, went completely still. Conversations died mid-sentence. Chairs creaked as people shifted uncomfortably. Even Karen's confident smirk faltered. "I apologize for being late," Jessica said with cool, deliberate calm, the kind honed through years of leadership on Navy destroyers. "Before we discuss your intention to evict my family while I'm serving overseas, I'd like to review which federal laws you intend to break tonight." And just like that, everything changed. Before the war began, we weren't troublemakers. We were just a family chasing stability. I'm Mark, an IT systems analyst. Jessica is a career Navy officer. After years of moving from base to base and saving every penny, we finally bought a home, a beautiful colonial in a suburban neighborhood that promised quiet streets and good schools for our 2 kids. The homeowners association seemed strict, sure, but manageable. Our realtor assured us the rules were in place to preserve property values and maintain the charm of the neighborhood. The fees were high, but they covered landscaping, snow removal, and a community pool. It felt worth it. When we moved in, Jessica was on shore duty. We repainted our home using approved colors, installed a new mailbox from the HOA's official list, and joined the neighborhood watch. We played by every rule. I even attended the first few HOA meetings to show good faith. Everything changed 2 months later when Jessica received deployment orders. A 6-month assignment aboard a destroyer in the Persian Gulf. Just 2 weeks after she deployed, the notices began. The first one was almost laughable. Our grass, they claimed, was half an inch too long. I was solo parenting 2 kids while working full-time, and yes, I'd missed the mow cycle by a day or 2. I apologized and mowed the lawn immediately. But the next morning, another notice appeared on our door. This time for leaving our trash bins out too long. Apparently, they'd been on the curb for more than 4 hours after pickup. Then, like clockwork, violations started arriving every 3 days. Our son's basketball hoop, previously approved, was suddenly labeled non-regulation. The American flag Jessica had proudly hung on our porch. Improperly displayed. Even the flowers she had planted before leaving, petunias, nothing wild, were suddenly unauthorized vegetation. It was surreal. I tried to reason with Karen, the HOA president, hoping she might understand. I explained that my wife was deployed, that I was doing my best as a temporary single parent. She didn't even blink. "Rules are rules," she said, her lips twisting into a slight smirk. "We don't make exceptions." That's when I realized this wasn't about the rules. This was personal. The pressure builds. What began as annoying nitpicks quickly escalated into a full-blown campaign of harassment. One day I received a certified letter delivered by hand. We were being fined $100 per day for ongoing violations. According to their calculations, we owed over $2,000. The violations included absurdities like excessive foot traffic, my kids playing in our own front yard, improper window coverings, blackout curtains in my daughter's room, unauthorized vehicle, my father-in-law's pickup truck when he visited for the weekend to help with childcare. I contested each violation, carefully photographing everything, even collecting images of other homes in the neighborhood, displaying the same items: flags, flower beds, basketball hoops. But the HOA dismissed every appeal, offering no explanation other than non-compliance. It became clear they were applying the rules selectively, and we were their target. Then came the second letter. It accused us of creating a significant disruption to community harmony. The board was initiating proceedings to place a lien on our home and eventually force a sale due to bylaw violations. I nearly collapsed when I read those words. They weren't just trying to fine us. They were trying to take our home, while my wife was deployed, serving the country. Rock bottom. That night I sat alone in the living room, staring at the papers. I hadn't been sleeping. I'd lost weight. Our son, who struggled with anxiety, had finally found a therapist he liked. Our daughter had just made the soccer team. Our life had roots now, finally, and they were trying to rip them out. I called our neighbor Steve, a quiet man who'd lived on the block for over a decade. "They've done this before," he said in a hushed voice. "They harass families they don't want here, mostly military. Manufactured violations, fines, pressure until they move. No one fights back. It costs more to get a lawyer than to just leave." That night, I stopped trying to play nice. If they wanted a fight, they picked the wrong damn family. The law they didn't expect. At 3 a.m., fueled by coffee and desperation, I began digging through legal forms, military resources, and HOA regulations. That's when I discovered the Servicemembers Civil Relief Act, SCRA, a federal law that protects military families from foreclosure and eviction during deployments. It requires court orders for any such action and makes it illegal to discriminate or target military families. Then I found it, buried in the HOA's own covenant agreement. No foreclosure or eviction actions may be taken against properties owned by active duty military personnel or their immediate family during any period of official deployment. I had them. I contacted the Navy's JAG office. The legal officer was livid. "They're trying to evict you during deployment," she repeated. "We'll shut this down." She sent me federal case law, enforcement protocols, and a formal letter of intent, warning the HOA that their actions were likely in violation of federal protections. When I told Jessica during her next video call, she didn't hesitate. "I'm coming home," she said. "I have emergency leave available. I'll land 2 hours before the final hearing." Showdown Jessica arrived just 3 hours before the meeting, exhausted from her 30-hour journey but unshakable. She reviewed every document, every photograph, every letter. Then she pulled out her dress blues. "They're about to learn what real authority looks like," she said. "We arrived at the community center separately, Jessica's idea. I took my seat alone while the board tried to bulldoze through their vote. Karen called out my name like it was a formality. As I tried to present our evidence, I was interrupted. Doug waved me off. "The time for explanations is over. This is just procedure now." Then the doors opened. Jessica stepped through, posture straight, cap under one arm. The room froze. "I'm Lieutenant Jessica Mitchell, United States Navy. I've just returned from deployment to address this matter personally." She laid down the legal documents, including the letter from JAG. "Under federal law, specifically the Servicemembers Civil Relief Act, your actions are illegal without a court order," she said. "Furthermore, your own HOA bylaws prohibit this exact enforcement during deployment. You are in breach of your own contract." She presented the evidence, dozens of homes with the same violations we were fined for. Photos, testimonies. Even Karen's own property featured infractions she'd cited us for. Jessica's voice remained calm, even as she delivered the final blow. "If you proceed, the Navy is prepared to pursue federal penalties, including up to $110,000 per violation under the SCRA. Our attorney is also prepared to file a civil lawsuit for housing discrimination against a protected class." The board members looked stunned. Karen's hands were visibly shaking. Their lawyer whispered urgently. "We need to convene in private," he said. Victory. And what came? After 20 minutes later, the board returned. "We're dismissing all violations and fines," Karen said stiffly. "We also have no plans to pursue further enforcement," the lawyer added quickly. "The board deeply regrets any misunderstanding." But that wasn't the end. Within a week, 3 board members, including Karen, resigned. The county launched an investigation after other families came forward with eerily similar stories. Several were also military. With legal support, they received settlements for moving costs and financial damages. 2 years have passed. Jessica finished her deployment and was promoted shortly after. We still live in that same home. The HOA board was restructured. 2 military veterans now sit on it. Fairness and transparency are its new cornerstones. What happened to us became a case study for HOA law firms across the state. A lesson in what happens when unchecked power meets military discipline, federal law, and 2 parents determined to protect their family. Sometimes standing your ground isn't just about defending your own home. It's about making sure no one else has to fight the same battle alone. Because when you know your rights and you're willing to fight for them, bullies don't stand a chance.